Namaste, it's the Spiritual Daywalker, hashtag Schrodinger's Cards, your new school tarot reader here on Bali. And I want to keep things new school because I invented, or I'm working on, a new system to base tarot cards on, which is leaning on the Tree of Life of Kabbalah, just integrating doubling patterns I got from Randy Powell from his vortex-based mathematics. Sounds a little complicated, but it does make sense. So it goes a little something like this. This is the Tree of Life, with Ketha, Chokma, Bina, the Ath right here is a gap, right? But I thought, why the fuck is Ketha on the top? The one cannot be on top because it's already part of the system. The entire idea of this is that the 0 implies plus 1 minus 1. So if we have 1, we already have 2. And then I realized if we switch it, it lines up perfectly with the logical, mathematical systems that Randy Powell discovered in his vortex-based mathematics. See, everything in the world revolves around doubling. Like cells, for example, are doubling. So if you take the digital root of those doublings, of the doubling sequences, you see the patterns. 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 8 is 16 is 7, 16 and 16 is 23 is 5. 5 and 5 is 10, is 1. It's about the core logic of the entire system, of the universe, right? The logos. It doesn't have to be rational or even comprehensible to be logical. We just assume there is a logic to it. So you have one sort of motion right here, let's call it motion for the argument's sake, and then the 3 and the 6 are a different system. And the 9 is never touched. It's the axis, basically, the axis of everything. See, 3 and 3 is 6, 6 and 6 is 12 is 3, 12 and 12 is 24 is 6 again. So it's a flux right here. This is one motion, and this is one motion. And the 9 is the digital root of everything. If you look, like 8 plus 1 is 9, 7 plus 2 is 9, 6 plus 3 is 9, 5 plus 4 is 9. So it is the axis of everything. If this describes how duality works in reality, meaning that this is the material world, and then the 3, 6, and 9 kind of characterize how consciousness, or let's say spirit, interacts with matter in a sense. So if this describes duality and the way things logically develop in reality, then it should be reflected in the Tree of Life. So if we make that switch from the 0, right, taking the 1, putting it here, then the 2 moves over there, and the 3 moves here, it actually adds up, see? 1 and 2, like 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4, 4 and 4 is 8, 8 and 8 is 7, 7 and 7 is 5, 5 and 5 is 1, like this. And the funny thing is, if you like move it upwards more, realize the 9 is the digital root of everything. You put the 9 in the middle and you solve that problem. So what comes out is this. I call it the DNA spread, or helix spread. Can you see it? Sun is a little awkward, but it does make sense, like this, right? So you have the 0 on top, and I flipped it also, right? And you have the 0 on top and the 10 down there. So the 0 represents kind of the spirit, the pure potential, and the 10, the completed cycle, which is the manifestation, right? And you have that axis right here, with the 9 being the core in the middle, right? So like the spiritual insight that is needed to come from nothing to something, or from something to nothing again, right? So this is the progression. 1, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. And it goes halfway, like if you halve it, it does the same, right? Divided by 2 is 0.5. Divided by 2 is 0.25, is 7 again. And then it goes for, like, to eternity. It always like this. And the 3 and the 6, they're always fluctuating right here. And the funny thing is, they're also the digital root. Like 1 plus 2 is 3, right? 4 plus 5 is 9. 7 plus 8 is 6. Like 15 is 6, right? And the 9 is in the middle, because here 7 plus 2 is 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9, right? And then if you look at how these numbers behave, how they also what they symbolize, right? You see that the 1 is about the ego, the 4 is about control and stability, the 7 is about the ego again, about individuality. So it's very progressive, very forward motion into form, in a sense, right? And these numbers here, 2 is about balance, 5 is about change, 8 is about abundance, and also like accepting abundance. So they're more receptive. It was like, okay, these are receptive, these are progressive. So it also reflects the masculine and feminine. So you have the masculine side and the feminine side balancing out around the spirit axis of the 3, 6, and the 9 with a core lesson and an output. So this right here is the abyss from the tree of life, right? So what if we just lay the cards like that? That's what I thought, right? This is the journey. Now I know this is a very logical way of going about this, but this base logic is exactly what the tree of life is trying to display, right? The grid of the universe, the workings of the universe. And I will explore that further and create a tarot deck based on that concept, on that 9-digit system, with maybe some more or less major arcanas and whatnot. I'll dive deep into this. For now, I will just try laying the tarot cards along this system and see how the relations actually fit, right? So if you look at a card spread like this, you have the spiritual axis in the middle and the energies trying to balance out around it, telling the story from spiritual enlightenment to manifestation, or from manifestation to spiritual enlightenment. These energies are trying to balance each other out, and in the middle you have the spiritual lesson that you need to learn to get there, whether you want to read it from bottom to top or from top to bottom. That's kind of the intuitive things, like where on the journey are you at? What are the lessons that you have to learn? And this one being the most important role, this is the challenge, right? Because the 9 is never touched. The flux are these guys here, right? The 3 and the 6. So it does tell a beautiful story and beautiful interrelations when this wants to become this, wants to become this, and this wants to become this, wants to become this, right? And it all has to cross that 5 of Cups in the middle, the spot of the 9, which now is a 5 of Cups. So it's a beautiful way of just trying to see all the different relations that the energies are having here and read it like a helix. That's why it's called the DNA spread. So that is a very interesting system to lay cards over, and a very interesting system for me to create a tarot deck about. So I'm going to create a tarot deck based on this 9-digit system and try to include as much of the mystical principles that are already in tarot in it, and really make it work and see if I can find, like, eclectically bring them together and find the common denominator of like as many systems as possible to really get to the root of how the universe works and lay the cards and design the cards accordingly. This is going to be so fun. Thank you so much for bearing with me on this. I know it's a lot, but it really gave me goosebumps when I had the epiphany of bringing those two systems together. And I believe there's a lot more in there than just refining tarot. It is like getting to the core of how the universe works, which is what tarot is actually about, like using those interference patterns to tell you the underlying energetic story of what you are experiencing. And I believe that could be a major breakthrough. And check out the new moon readings. They're already using the new system. Give me some feedback on how you like it, whether it's like enriching for you to just listen to that, or if it's just confusing. Maybe it's just me. Just give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, check out the readings. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I love you.